Welcome to the AI React podcast, where we react to everything and anything. And today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be fun. Smells Like Teen Spirit. Such a classic.
Such a classic. I mean, it's always at the top of those greatest songs lists. You know, it's considered the anthem for Generation X. And never mind the album song. Sold, I think, over 13 million copies worldwide. So, huge success.
It was massive. And you know what else? That music video,
Oh, don't even get me started.
pure anarchy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
It really captured that early 90s zeitgeist.
For sure, for sure. But before we get to all of that, I think it's worth starting with just the origins of the song. You know,
Yeah.
where did this come from? And the story behind the title is pretty surprising. Have you heard that?
I have. It all starts with Kathleen Hanna, lead singer of Bikini Kill,
Oh, yeah, Bikini Kill.
and a little bit of a prank.
The prank, okay.
So Kathleen and Cobain's then-girlfriend, Toby Vale, were at the grocery store, and they saw this deodorant. It was called Teen Spirit.
Teen Spirit, right?
Kathleen, being Kathleen, thought it would be funny to just write on Cobain's wall, "Kurt smells like Teen Spirit."
Oh, that's so good.
I know.
I love that.
And Cobain, who apparently hadn't even smelled the deodorant yet,
Oh, really?
saw the phrase and was like, ooh, that's kind of cool.
Mhm.
Like he thought it had this revolutionary, rebellious vibe.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you know, the song itself is often interpreted as this teen revolution anthem.
Totally.
So it all kind of ties together. Even though it started as this joke, it really tapped into something real, I think, about the youth culture of the time.
Totally. Yeah, it's amazing how these things happen. These random events just kind of coalesce into something so iconic. But let's talk about the music for a sec.
Okay.
The music itself, those power chords, the driving rhythm, it just grabs you.
It's so powerful. And it's interesting how it kind of blends all these different influences. You've got the obvious punk inspiration, but there's also this like touch of disco in there.
Disco.
Yeah. Dave Grohl has mentioned that he was listening to a lot of disco drummers at the time, like bands like the Gap Band. He was drawn to that kind of syncopation in space, and you can hear that in his drumming on Smells Like Teen Spirit.
That's so fascinating. So you have this really interesting mix of punk energy and disco grooves. What about the lyrics?
Ah, the lyrics. Notoriously cryptic.
Yes,
Lots of debate about what they actually mean.
for sure.
And I think that's part of what makes the song so enduring. It's like this invitation to find your own meaning, project your own experiences onto it.
Like there's that famous line, a mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, my libido. What do you make of that? Is that just nonsense or is there something deeper going on?
You know, some people argue it's just nonsense. Provocative.
Yeah.
Meant to get a reaction, but I think it's more nuanced than that. I think it speaks to a sense of confusion, that feeling of being overwhelmed by conflicting desires and identities.
Like you don't fit in. You're caught between different worlds. Awkwardness, angst of being a teenager.
Totally. And that resonates with so many people, regardless of age. I mean, we've all felt that sense of displacement at some point.
For sure. It's so interesting how a few lines can spark so much debate and interpretation. Do you think Cobain himself had like a clear idea of what the song meant? Or was he deliberately just playing with the ambiguity?
I think that's the million-dollar question.
Huh.
You know, Cobain gave conflicting interviews about the meaning, sometimes claiming it was just a joke, other times suggesting it was this serious statement about apathy and rebellion.
So maybe he was intentionally leaving it open to interpretation, letting the listeners fill in the blanks.
I think that's very possible. I mean, he was a very intuitive artist, understood the power of suggestion.
It's brilliant. It creates a deeper connection because then the audience is like, oh, I'm part of the creative process. I get to figure this out myself.
Absolutely. And that's part of what makes it so enduring. It's not static. It keeps evolving and taking on new meaning with each generation.
So we have these cryptic lyrics that tap into this universal feeling of teenage angst, and we have this powerful music that blends punk and disco. It's a potent combo.
It really is. And to make it even more explosive, they released it with that iconic music video.
Oh, yeah. The high school pep rally gone wrong. Anarchy.
Yeah.
Visual anarchy. We've got to talk about that. But I think we should save it for the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, I think that deserves its own dedicated analysis.
So for now, we'll leave you with this question. What resonates most with you about Smells Like Teen Spirit? Is it the raw energy of the music, the mystery of the lyrics, or the way it captures the spirit of a generation?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Smells Like Teen Spirit. We've been talking about the origins of the song, like dissecting the lyrics and, you know, exploring those cool musical influences.
Yeah, and now it's time to talk about the visual component that really helped to just propel the song, I mean, like, into the stratosphere. The music video?
The music video. The legendary high school pep rally from hell.
Right.
It's just a masterpiece.
It is.
Visual storytelling. It captures those themes so perfectly. The rebellion, the alienation.
You know, it's so interesting how they drew inspiration from films like Over the Edge and Rock and Roll High School to create that vision.
Totally.
Like this kind of dystopian vision of teenage discontent. And it's like they tapped into this undercurrent of frustration and angst that was brewing in youth culture at the time.
Absolutely. And the way they shot it, you know, with the handheld cameras, that gritty, almost documentary style footage, it just adds to the authenticity.
Yeah, it feels real.
The rawness.
Like you're right there in the middle of that mosh pit.
And speaking of the mosh pit,
Yep.
that final scene where the extras just erupt in this frenzy of destruction, that wasn't planned.
Wait, really? I always thought that was choreographed.
No, pure improvisation. They had the extras sitting there for hours, you know, take after take, and eventually they just snapped.
Wow.
They started moshing, tearing down the set, just letting loose.
Talk about capturing lightning in a bottle. It's amazing how those unplanned moments often turn out to be the most, like, memorable.
Totally. And it speaks to that raw energy that Nirvana brought to everything they did.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't about polish or perfection. They were about expressing something visceral and authentic.
And that energy translates perfectly to the music video.
Yeah.
I mean, it became an instant classic.
Yeah.
And it played a huge role, I think, in just propelling alternative rock into the mainstream.
Oh, for sure. I mean, MTV was the dominant force in music culture at the time, and they put Smells Like Teen Spirit on heavy rotation. Suddenly, this band from Seattle that was barely known outside of like the underground scene was everywhere.
Yeah, it was a cultural earthquake.
Yeah.
And for Nirvana, who had always been like fiercely independent, anti-establishment, that level of fame and attention must have been a double-edged sword.
Right. On one hand, you have this massive success, but on the other hand, it's like you're losing control of your own narrative. You become the symbol, and there's a lot of pressure and scrutiny that comes with that.
The classic tale of the artist struggling with the burden of fame.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see how that tension played out in their live performances, too.
Absolutely. They were notorious for subverting expectations on stage.
It's like that time they played Smells Like Teen Spirit on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
That was the biggest music show in the UK at the time.
Oh, that was legendary. I mean, most bands would just, you know, mime to their pre-recorded track, but Nirvana, they decided to play the song live, but with a twist.
With a twist.
Cobain sang the whole thing an octave lower.
Wow.
Gave it this almost sinister drawling quality.
Yeah, and he changed some of the lyrics.
Right, like load up on guns, bring your friends became load up on drugs, kill your friends.
Yeah.
A deliberate middle finger to that whole idea of like a polished, manufactured pop performance.
It's such a punk rock move.
Yeah.
And the audience was just bewildered.
I bet.
Some loved it, some were offended, but like everybody was talking about it.
Exactly. And that's what Nirvana was all about.
Yeah.
Challenging the status quo, provoking a reaction, staying true to their own artistic vision.
A force of nature. But amidst all the chaos and rebellion, there's this incredible vulnerability and emotional honesty in their music. Especially in Smells Like Teen Spirit.
I agree. And that's what makes it so relatable even decades later.
Yeah.
It captures that feeling of being young and lost and trying to find your place in the world.
A song that speaks to the outsider.
Yeah.
The person who doesn't quite fit in.
Exactly. And that's a message that will always be relevant.
Absolutely. We could talk for hours about the cultural impact of Smells Like Teen Spirit. But I think we're running out of time for this segment.
Yeah.
We'll continue our deep dive in the next part where we will explore some of the song's covers and parodies.
Yes. And we'll delve even deeper into that musical structure and the lyrical nuances that make this song so enduring.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Smells Like Teen Spirit. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
Yeah. We've talked about the origins, the video, and like, it's just incredible how much this song has impacted music and culture.
Yeah. And now we're going to explore how other artists have kind of like reinterpreted and reimagined this iconic song through covers and parodies.
Oh, covers. So many good ones.
So many. It's amazing how a song can take on a whole new life when it's covered by another artist.
It really is. It's like seeing it through a completely different lens.
Exactly. And Smells Like Teen Spirit has been covered by such a diverse range of artists.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody from, you know, fellow grunge icons to
Barbershop Quartet. Name it.
I love it. It's a testament to the song's like versatility and enduring appeal.
For sure. I mean, one of the earliest covers that comes to mind is Tori Amos's piano rendition from 1992.
Oh, yeah.
She strips the song down to its bare essentials, and it really highlights the raw emotion, the vulnerability beneath those distorted guitars.
Her version is so beautiful and heartbreaking.
It's like she tapped into this whole other layer of meaning that was hidden in the original.
Totally. And then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have Weird Al Yankovic's Smells Like Nirvana.
Oh, God, a classic.
It's so funny.
He takes Cobain's, notoriously hard-to-decipher lyrics and turns them into this commentary on the incomprehensibility of grunge music.
And you know what's amazing?
What?
Cobain loved it.
Really?
Yeah, he saw it as a sign that Nirvana had truly arrived, like that they'd become part of the cultural lexicon.
That's why.
It's so funny how a parody can be a form of validation.
Right.
It shows that a song has reached this level of saturation where it's ripe for satire.
Absolutely. And it speaks to Cobain's sense of humor, too, you know? He didn't take himself too seriously.
Totally. Another cover that stands out to me is the queercore band Pansy Division's version. Smells Like Queer Spirit.
Oh, that's a powerful one. They took the themes of rebellion and alienation and applied it to the experience of being LGBTQ+ in the early 90s.
It's a great example of how a song can be reclaimed and reinterpreted to reflect different experiences.
For sure. And of course, we can't forget about the Muppets Barbershop Quartet rendition from their 2011 movie.
Oh my God, so good.
Pure comedic gold.
The juxtaposition of those clean-cut Muppets singing this raw, rebellious song. I love it.
It's hilarious. It shows you how much staying power this song has.
It really does. These covers highlight how impactful and influential Smells Like Teen Spirit has been and continues to be.
Yeah, it's inspired so many artists, and it still resonates with listeners across generations.
I think a big part of that is because of the song's, masterful construction.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it earlier, but it's worth revisiting some of those musical elements that make it so captivating.
Totally.
It's not just a catchy tune.
It's not. There's a lot of thought behind this.
Yeah, for sure. One of the key elements is the use of dynamic.
The dynamics.
Yeah.
The verses are so quiet and subdued, building that tension.
Yeah.
And then it just explodes in the chorus.
That quiet, loud dynamic is such a classic rock trope, but Nirvana executed it perfectly.
Yeah.
It creates this wave of energy that washes over you.
For sure. And then you have the chord progression itself. F5, BA5, AE5, BE5, deceptively simple, but so effective. Hits you right in the gut.
And Cobain's use of guitar affects the chorus pedal during the verses.
Yeah.
It adds another layer of texture.
Oh, yeah. It's got a swirling, almost ethereal sound.
Yeah, and then contrasted with that raw power of the chorus.
It creates this feeling of unease. Like something's about to break, and it really mirrors those lyrical themes.
For sure. Speaking of the lyrics, even though they're often ambiguous, like we talked about, they tap into something universal about the experience of being young.
Yeah, that feeling of alienation, wanting to break free from societal expectations.
That frustration of not being heard.
It resonates with everyone.
And that's why Smells Like Teen Spirit continues to hold such a powerful grip on our collective imagination. It's a song that captures a moment in time.
But also transcends it.
Yeah.
It's like a sonic snapshot of teenage angst, and it's going to echo for years to come.
I think so, too. So as we wrap up our deep dive, we encourage you to go back and revisit Smells Like Teen Spirit. Listen for those subtle nuances in the music.
Yeah, ponder the hidden depths of the lyrics.
Appreciate the song's lasting impact on music and culture.
And let us know what you think.
Yeah, what resonates most with you. And as always, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The podcast sponsors in the description below, so go and check them out. Thanks